live where there's hurricanes, because we just got the very tail end of some heavy rain from Beryl. We're up here in up north of the Great Lakes, sort of in between them. There, now you can see out the window as well. Anyway, so I didn't sleep very soundly last night. I kept thinking, wondering what time it was and if it was time to get up, because we have to be in Montreal half an hour before the endowment, or we should anyway, at least 15 minutes, so we have time to change and get ready. And can make us miss it. It's a long way to go. So we try and leave by 5:30, I think, or something. Anyway, have to leave by 6. I can't really be sure how far away it is, but anyway, several hours. So, I usually have been wearing a black mask under my CPAP machine over my eyes, because the sun rises at about 5:30 or 5:15 or something, and it starts to get light, I would say, at 4:30. Anyway, so I like to, it's okay to sleep in, but if I wear the mask, I go to sleep right away. And if I don't, I might not. And it helps me to sleep soundly the whole time and stay asleep, because there's nothing to look at. I don't know, I guess darkness creates, it tells your body to produce melatonin. And so if you have a mask on, then the darkness will produce melatonin and keep you sleeping. Anyway, so I could hear something outside. I didn't know if it was wind, and I looked out. I take off my mask, and or just at least lift it up. And I couldn't tell if it was the wind or if it was raining. And I looked at my phone, and it's usually, if it's raining, you know how you get now on the app, on the iOS, you get a certain thickness of blue lines, vertical blue lines, and it tapers, and it tells you it's going to end in so many minutes. Well, I've never seen the blue lines this tall, and it said for the forecast heavy rain. And so then I saw the little map, and we were in the area where it was red or purple or something. Anyway, and I wasn't sure if we should even go or not, because our front tires, our treads are very low, and it's a front wheel drive. And you hydroplane. I learned in driver's ed that you hydroplane at 40 miles an hour. We go kilometers an hour. So we don't hydroplane at 40, we hydroplane at 70 kilometers an hour, which is not very fast. It's what you drive near towns. In towns you drive 60 or 50. Anyway, so it was quite, I find that you have spiritual experiences when you really have to depend on the Lord. And not being able to trust my tires. And if there's water on the road, not just a little bit, but if it's obviously puddling or pooling a little bit in where your tires need to go. Oh, the rain is coming back again. prayed the whole time. And I kept trying to relax and just allow the Lord's hand. I tried to, pray to make the front of my car heavy so that it would grip the road. But I couldn't drive the speed limit. I was driving much slower, which of course will make us, if we don't have enough time, we might miss the first session. But we'll still have time for the second session. And if it's bad weather, then what about other cars? And we just found out that one of our lights, the dim light, doesn't work. So I kept my brights on. I don't think it was too bright for anybody because it was raining so hard. It was muting everything. And also, when you have a pickup truck, we live out in the country, so there's a lot of pickup trucks. Men drive pickup trucks, women drive cars. That's just sort of an oversimplification because men do drive cars, and I suppose the odd woman drives a pickup truck. But generally, men they drive their pickup trucks to work, and they take the car when they go to town. So there's a certain time of day that you'll see pickup trucks. Oh, hi, Tyler. We're going to the temple in Montreal today, Thursday. Yes, that is definitely rain you're listening to. This is the remnants of Beryl. But it's still not as heavy as it was earlier. It was so heavy for a long time. And then we got to Ottawa, and it appeared it was going to taper off before we got there. But according to the timing on the weather, we would be going through it. And we did. It was really, now it's getting really heavy. Now the road is covered with water. Have to not tense up. You just have to keep my hands on the wheel, pay the focus on the road. But if other cars pass me, then it gets very white. So I'm going 90 now. I was going 120 kilometers an hour. 90s, I seem to be able to see better. The truck behind me is going to pass me now. Now I'm going 80. Oh, we came through it. It's over. So after we got partway into Ottawa, well, once we got into into the heat of Ottawa, and early morning traffic, the rain had really slowed way down. In fact, there was a point I turned off my windshield wipers. So I guess, the storms do go from Toronto to Ottawa. It sort of follows that pattern up the East Coast. Oh, look at that. I can turn off my windshield wipers. Oh no, look it on. It's still a mist from the cloud of truck in front of me. Okay, here it is. It's okay. It's all going to be okay. And there's no water. I mean, you can see the pavement through the wet. So that's good. Nice, and it gives my tires something to grip to. We use snow tires in the winter, and then we change them for all-season radials in the summer. But we usually end up not wanting to put the ones back on that we took off the last season because they've got half the tread. They're still good enough, but if you're going to pay to have new tires rotated or put on, I don't know, they charge you a lot for each tire. They balance them and all that. If you're keeping the same rims, but we have the rims on the tires. We've got sets of rims. Out more quickly when it's hot, but how hot does it really get ever here? So the hottest is 90, I guess. Look at that. Now I can turn off the windshield wipers. Phew, that was... What a blessing. So I was feeling really good that we had outrun the storm, as it were. But you know how hurricanes are. They have all these swirling rain around them, and they're in lines, but as they dissipate, like by the time they get up here, there's just spots of rain. It's not a central thing necessarily. There is some, but a lot of spots. And so you go through, these spots are going through. Oh, I'm so grateful for the road being dry. Thank you, Heavenly Father. Thank you for getting us through these things and helping us not have an accident and not hydroplane. Thank you for the straightness of the roads here, for keeping me on track and paying attention. This we pray in Jesus Christ's name, amen. The whole time I was talking to him and asking him to keep everybody else doing the right thing so that they didn't cause or be in an accident, and that wouldn't hold us all up and miss our time. I like doing this every Thursday. Sometimes we can't go. Like last Thursday we had children and we couldn't go, but I really like the routine of trying to go every week. We're counseled to go once a month or more often as permitted. And in some parts of the world, they live right next door to the temple because there's just so many of them. When I joined the church in 1976, there were maybe 10 temples in the world. And now there's over 300 that are either under construction, announced, or working. And you can go to on the church website. There's a place to there's all these little lines up in the top corner. Click on that, and then it goes to temp or serve. You click on serve, and then there's the temples, and you can select a temple. You see the temple list, and so any temple that's got a date on it, which is the date it was dedicated, is a working temple. And so you can click on, there's make an appointment, and under that is put names on the prayer roll. And so I put some names on the prayer roll the other day, and I decided to put them on a lot of prayer rolls. And so I went through a bunch of temples. I went through the temples that I felt would be busiest, like the ones in Utah, where they have, sessions from 7 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. And they're packed all day. So I knew that amount of people praying would be very beneficial. So I went through a lot of temples and I put some names on them. And it was a Sunday when I did it. So the temple is closed on Sunday and Monday. In the church, we don't have meetings on Mondays, like Relief Society meetings or priesthood meetings or quorum meetings or council meetings. There's no meetings. It's supposed to be our family day. We have family home evening on Mondays. So if you phone somebody on a Monday evening, they might not answer the phone, or they might tell you that we're having our family home evening tonight or whatever. Thank you, Broccoli. What a neat name, Broccoli. Hey, there's a red Tesla. I've been noticing the Teslas lately, seeing how many they are. I'm waiting till they cost $20,000. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't like using gas and causing emissions. I don't want to cause any more trouble for the planet. There's enough. I know these things are prophesied that they will come to pass, all the destruction on the earth, but I think that we can also have a big effect on this. So I don't want the AMOC to stop. That's the Atlantic Meridian oceanic circulation, where the heat of the oceans down at the equator, the heat rises and it flows northward, and it cools when it gets up to the Labrador Sea, the Sea of Labrador, which is where the St. Lawrence River empties into northward. And then that colder water now drops down and it flows southward. And that AMOC keeps our jet stream moving. And as the AMOC slows down, because the oceans are so hot, and hot so much farther north, it's slowing down, which is causing things like the rain to stall over Texas, and to give them a foot of rain, or to hurricanes to move very slowly and do tons of damage. So whatever we get more of it, right? If it's going to be a drought, the droughts are longer and more severe, which then causes fires. We usually get a lot less rain in August. August is the stream gets very low until the rains of autumn come. Right now, however, the lake that's behind our hill is right up to the top of the road. And the marsh on the other side, they open the culvert. The beavers dam it up sometimes, but they open the culvert and the marsh is really full. And with all this extra rain, it's very possible that once again it will break the beaver dam that creates that lake and holds it back. It'll break that beaver dam, and that amount of water will then break all the beaver dams between us and them. There must be 10 beaver dams in there, and then we have a dam that's right beside on, it's holding the water, making the water very high in the moat. Anyway, but if this AMOC means that it will rain longer, drought will last longer, it's because the jet stream is slowed down. Drive safe. Do you know that safe is drive is a verb, and it would be followed with an adverb, which is safely. So it would be drive safely. I'm on this Facebook page, which is Grammar Police. I'm a writer, and I love the English language. I love using words that are seldom used and using them in proper but unusual ways. Like whom is usually in a prepositional phrase, like to whom. So it would be preceded by, of, for, with, by, beside, any of those prepositions. I can't remember what they are right now. Where's that car? Anyway, so to whom it may concern, right? That's how you start a formal letter. You don't know the name of the person. To whom it may concern. Well, to whom did you want this to be given? But sometimes whom is used in ways that are not proper. People trying to sound formal, but not using it right. So who and whom. Now, who is going, not whom is going. Anyway, I get them mixed up a bunch. The one thing I know for sure is that after a preposition, in a prepositional phrase, you would use the word whom. Anyway, that's my grammar. That's right. Safe driving. Have a blessed trip. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, this is a colorful car. A little blue car. Light blue. Back in my day, in the 70s, that was my day, 60s and the 70s, the cars were all different colors. And so a parking lot, I saw a picture on Facebook the other day of a parking lot filled with pastel colored cars, all the rainbow. And now, I don't know about where you are, but in Canada, all the imagination is gone. It's white and black and gray and silver. That's it. Nothing else. So I painted flowers on my car, But this car we're driving is kind of a dark silver car. I refused to buy a black one, but I bought this one. I don't like black and white because in the winter everything is white you're camouflaged. I have a white coat and I call it my camouflage coat. I wear it in the winters because it's nice and warm, but it's very tattered and torn now and stained with all the dirt from all the things that I do. I have a very productive life sometimes. Breaking branches off trees, all that sort of stuff. The sleeves get dirty. I'm a bad one for the sleeves. I've always been. I remember my mother, it was a big deal to her that she cleaned a blouse I had, and it had very wide sleeve cuffs. Back in those days, the sleeves must have been 6 inches long, 5 inches long, and then it was puffy, and I think it had ruffles down the front, just until the waist, and then it was plain. I used to love that white blouse. It had long collars, but I really preferred Peter Pan collars, the circular ones, big Peter Pan collars. So when I would make dresses, I would put big Peter Pan collars on them. I still like that sort of stuff, but you don't find it anymore. You have what they want you to wear, which if you go to the stores that are inexpensive enough to buy, everything is made out of jersey material. Well, jersey is a clingy kind of thing that shows every lump and bump, and I've always liked loose clothing. I certainly do ramble. The reason I started a video right now is because I need to keep my mind active. And having conversations is good. So if you guys talk to me and I can notice what you said, then anyway, it's good to have conversations. We were listening to this thing on CBC this morning. Somebody, a family doctor who knows a lot about Alzheimer's, was being interviewed. And he was saying that take 3 words. The test for Alzheimer's is they give you 3 words and then see if you can remember those 3 words in a little while. And also have you draw a clock and make it 10 after 11. And that seems to be a confusing, draw a circular clock. And so the 11 goes to the 11 o'clock. The shorthand will go to the hour. Longhand will go to 10 after, to the 2. So it'll be at 11 and 2. But that is a confusing one. When he was explaining that that's the number, and I was picturing it in my mind, 11, 10. 11, 10. It is confusing because you want to write 10 after, 11 minutes after 10. Anyway, but so that's, I wonder if it still works once I have figured it out ahead of time, like now. So I asked Willem a little while ago to give me 3 words, but they were easy words because I could see them, and the words were car, road, and cloud. So I got them. But the words that they said were ball and car, and then I cannot remember the third one. I have to picture things. So those are 2 Alzheimer's things. Also, keeping your body moving, like when you're driving, moving your feet, it makes your circulation work and it nourishes your brain. My father used to put cruise control on, and then he would lift his feet one after another, and he would say, I'm going for a walk. We drove to Wyoming once, so we were in the car together for 17 days. I don't know why it took 17 days. But anyway, we drove to Wyoming and back, and we stopped at all kinds of things. He was really into Native American Indians and the First Peoples. And it was very interesting. He took me to all kinds of sites, taught me. He's a geography professor. So the whole trip I had, as I'm used to doing, I had a tape recorder, which I would use to tape record him telling me stuff. I had my journal, which I was writing in most of the time. I had my binoculars so I could see birds. I had my bird book so I could check and identify them, because we were in new ground. Like, I hadn't birded on that, we went from Georgia to Wyoming. So there were all these states that we went through that I had not checked for birds since I'd been birding. And I had my camera. So my camera and my binoculars were around my neck. My lap was full of my bird book and my journal. My hand was a pen. And beside me, between me and my dad, was the tape recorder. So one way to combat Alzheimer's is memories. To walk back through your memories. And I have a lot of memories. I raised 5 children, and there were a lot of good memories. It was a rough time, but it was the best times. You had these babies and these sweet little children, and you could teach them when they would pay attention, which wasn't always happening. There was a lot of chaos, and I did have 2 older children, and one had no patience, and so there was a lot of yelling. The big one making the little 3 be quiet. A lot of unkindness going on, and so I was always trying to protect the children from him. And anyway, so I was yelling, and then there were these talks I would hear, church talks. Elder Ballard, he would say that his wife never raised her voice. She had 10 children, never raised her voice. Bless her heart. Anyway, and so I didn't like him very much. Because I sure couldn't do that. He said that just a look and children would behave. Well, good grief. Good luck with that. Bet she didn't have children like my children. But you see, she was also probably a quiet-spoken person. A quiet and gentle spirit, and I wasn't. I was chaotic. I have ADHD, and I was all over the place. I would have all these ideas of things coming in all the time, plus the chaos of all the noise and all the children wanting different things and from each other and from me. And then the pressure. I found that the school was the most pressure in my life. The school demanded that they have lunches. Lunches that would cover all the food groups and would come home and go into the garbage. And when I homeschooled them, it was such a relief because they could just eat food. They would eat whatever, mostly good stuff. I couldn't afford to buy junk food. So they ate what was there, and I made cookies all the time. And I figured, I said, okay, well, for breakfast or for our meal, we're going to have oatmeal with raisins and sugar, and peanut butter on bread, right? Okay, well, that's an oatmeal cookie. So I figured I put all kinds of good stuff in, all kinds of nuts I could afford, and peanut butter and unsweetened coconut and raisins and dates, and I used whole wheat flour and molasses and white sugar and margarine. That was my recipe with cookies. And so, it was like eggs, lots of eggs, So it was like the same as having eggs with biscuits for breakfast. Eggs with biscuits and jam. Right? How's that? That's a okay breakfast. Oatmeal. Eggs with oatmeal and biscuits and jam with peanut butter. Anyway, so the school was the biggest pressure in my life. I had to read all the stuff they would send home. They were forever. I mean, when you get 5 children coming home, well, I didn't, there were some periods of time when the oldest had moved out, and they didn't do so much like that in high school. So it was 3 children anyway, all the time, with all these papers from school and permission forms and wanting money and wanting me to sell things. And I was not going to sell raffle tickets. There was no way I was going to encourage people to gamble, which is paying money for a chance. Because 99% of them are losers, and it just throws their money away. So I wasn't going to have my children sell chocolate bars, because if they didn't sell them, or if they did sell them and lost the money, I was going to have to come up with that money to give them. And I didn't want to do that. I would rather make a donation. But I didn't want my children to get people to go door to door selling chocolate bars, making them feel guilty if they didn't. And the chocolate bars were always overpriced, $3 for chocolate bars. I remember when I was a teenager selling cards. I think it was something called Royal or something. Some kind of cards that we had. They were kind of fancy, and you would try and get people to buy boxes of these cards. I used to try and do some of that stuff. But anyway, so the school, they wanted you to sell stuff. They wanted you to, they would have a race, a triathlon or something like that, or a walkathon, and you were supposed to promise that you would pay so much for every mile they walked, or every minute, or whatever it was. And we were a one-income family, and it was at a time when you needed 2 incomes, so we had to move far away from Ottawa so that we could afford a place. And I was a stay-at-home mom, because I figured that my children needed a stay-at-home mom more than they needed to go to soccer and on vacation. And so I was a stay-at-home mom, which meant I had less money. But meanwhile, the other people had more money because they were 2 family incomes. But luckily, we lived in a rural community, and the kids at school went to school with mended clothes or holes in their clothes. Back then, it wasn't a cool thing, And the kids in the city, it was, you don't go to school in that. You get branded as inferior. Anyway, but you were just, everybody was the same out in the country. So that was really helpful. But they would have these trips, like they wanted $1,000 so that I could send my son to Washington so he could be an usher in Congress or at the United Nations for a week or something. And if I'd had the money, I probably should have done it. I mean, it would have changed his life, perhaps. I don't know, maybe it wouldn't have. He got into drugs. He went to San Francisco, and he bought street drugs, and he got schizophrenia, and his life was ruined. He's on medication, so he's got a pretty nice life, but he has he's never going to get married or have a job, which is so sad. So much that is, life is really nice, and you feel good about yourself when you're contributing and when you're interacting with a lot plays a lot of music too, and he actively listens to, keeps the voices in his head out of the way, I guess. But he also really loves music. Anyway, so I didn't send him there. But I did take him to football practice. Football was not a big deal in Canada. Hockey is. Like, if you're in hockey, that's the, you know, those are the studs, are the ones in hockey. But football, so he played football for a while. I took him to football games, and I would film the football games and put them on YouTube. I like doing that. And I liked watching the games. I liked I mean, there was very few people there, just parents. But I liked watching it. But this was during the time when he was of the age where teenagers don't talk. They're just kind of moody, and so it wasn't a very rewarding thing to drive him to places. And he was also at the age where he would get me in trouble. Don't be late. We gotta go. Mom, are you ready? Are you gonna be ready for tomorrow? Because I had ADHD, I would forget, I would be late. Then I got on Celexa. Celexa really. So we are getting into a dead area, but I'll be here. I'll come back. So if you feel like waiting, go ahead. But it didn't die completely, so you're still there. Can you comment? Give me a topic to talk about? I was watching the other day, Camilla Kimball. She was the wife of the prophet, and her daughters, and there's so much love in that family, and she has puffy curly hair. Well, this was in 89 she did. She was 80 back then. And I understand what she was talking about not feeling like she was 80. It's very weird to have these numbers keep changing. And you keep feeling like you're 30 or 40 or something, you know. It's not, what's the big deal? And everybody listens to me say that with this knowing look in their eyes that I'm really not seeing. I don't get it, right? I'm not getting it. They get it. Well, they get that I'm talking about it, but they don't get why I can't tell that I'm old. Anyway. Oh, 80, and I'm going 104, 103. Well, so's everybody else. Ah, don't run into me. Oh, here's a sign. Big moose, looks like a bull crossing the road, and a deer jumping high. So we must be near a marsh, because moose love marshes. And if a moose runs out in front of your car, I've said this before, but you might not have been here. But if a moose runs out in front of your car and you hit it, you don't hit the body. The legs are very tall. Your car will go under the body, and the windshield hits the body. And that's big trouble. But definitely, I mean, hitting a moose is like hitting a wall. Hitting a deer, the deer flies up in the air and goes over. But if a deer runs into you, they'll run into you, and they can, you know, if you hit a deer, you probably have totaled your car. Because cars nowadays are just made of paper. Flimsy aluminum foil. What are they made of anyway? Is it aluminum or fiberglass? Yes, fiberglass. So my mom had Alzheimer's, and she became really nice. Like, my mom was always a worrier. She was quite tense and worried, but she was so loving. She would brighten a room. She would come in and the room would just light up. She was so happy and loving. walking again daily. Well, I've been walking down to the moat and walking around it and feeding the fish, tossing a handful of fish of cat food in every, so it's all the way around, 200 meters long, 2/10 of a kilometer to get around the moat. Hello, good morning. Are you waking up now?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, good, then I could talk to you. Or will my talking will put you to sleep, right?
No, I'm fine. But I'm going to shave.
Oh, good. Maybe I should save too. 96 kilometers to Montreal. That's about 50 miles. And I don't know how long we have till we get there. I'm going to take a little more of my energy drink and take these tiny sips. Probably like a capsule. And that keeps me awake. Oh, I'm so glad we outran the storm. Boy, there's a lot of wild parsnips here. They've all got yellow tops. They look like Queen Anne's lace, only they're yellow. And they have flat, round flowers on top, but they have many, many, many layers of them. It's actually a beautiful plant, and you can eat the parsnip. You get the juice on your skin, and it's what is the word? Something about the sun. Oh, there's a wild turkey. It's getting iffy here. We're coming in and out, but I'll stay here with you the whole time. You don't have to worry. You don't have to fret. Sorry I couldn't turn this long ways. It doesn't have that option anymore. You don't like that. So, Alzheimer's. I've been trying to do things, like I'm trying to learn the mosses. I'm not really doing it very dedicatedly, but yesterday I did buy a mosses book when I was in Algonquin Park at that bookstore. In the visitor centers of provincial parks and likely state parks, they have books on the earth, the different things that are in nature in the area. Oh, another thing is to name 15 animals in a minute. Okay, let's see if I can do that. So it's 7:45 on there, 7:47 on my car. So 15 animals in a minute. Okay, 7:46. So beaver, otter, mink, muskrat, turkey, lion, tiger, elephant, horse, dog, cat, shrew, mouse, red squirrel, black squirrel. Okay, that's 15. I'm okay. Whew. What else can I name? Cougar, leopard, ocelot, pig, cow, chicken, zebra, bear, grizzly bear, black bear. One set of 5, 2 sets of 5. What other animals? Well, birds they're not animals. Are they animals? They're in the animal kingdom. So, let's see. What other kind of animals do we have around us? Fishers, foxes, coyotes, wolves. What else? Ants? Those are insects.
Animals. It's an animal.
What?
Animal. It's an animal.
It's in the animal kingdom. Okay. Animalia. I'm trying to learn the Latin of these mosses. Did I already tell you that? I think I told it to Willem. So,
Ants, cockroaches, mosquitoes.
go ahead. 15 insects, Willem. Can
Wait
you
a
do?
minute. No. Beetles, silverfish, earwigs. Worms, maggots. Oh, I guess they get from other flies. Flies. Oh, yeah, flies. Dragonflies. Oh, gosh. I'm just a little ornery today. Sorry.
What?
Just a little ornery today.
Ornery?
Ornery.
You're fine.
Or ordinary, which is sort of the same.
Ornery and ordinary. Look at all that wild parsnips. Man, if you're hungry, you can harvest a lot of food there. Oh yes, some plucking needs to be done. Got my tweezers. Nice thing about getting older, as the estrogen wanes, the whiskers appear. Become a cat.
Strange.
What?
My estrogen waned too because I got a lot of years too.
So your estrogen is at a rock bottom.
I think so. That's why I get all those hairs in my nose, my ears.
I know. Such a shame.
Too little estrogen. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's water hemlock. There's a lot of water hemlock in there. That's very poisonous. Water hemlock also looks like
Queen Anne's lace.
Queen Anne's
yarrow,
lace,
and
but
all
it's
that.
it's curved like that on the top. A lot of it. Sometimes the government decides that there's bad plants and they're going to spray and eradicate them all. And then the spray gets into the water supply. Oh, I was going to tell you about forever chemicals before you started. The circle started going around. So, forever chemicals are in plastic wrap. They are absorbed into your skin after so many seconds. And it's not from eating it, it's from touching it. So they are in let's see. They're in plastic wrap. They're in sunscreen, which is a really big deal. I mean, sunscreen, I've never wanted to put on sunscreen. I avoid it like the plague. Except when I was on that Taku trip and we were right out in the sun. It was every day, all day long, 15 days, except when it rained. But sunscreen has these forever chemicals in it. Parents nowadays, I think they're so silly. You know, everybody when they go outside, they need to carry their water bottle and put on sunscreen and wear a hat. Everybody. Like, you create vitamin D through your skin. If you've got all this stuff on it, well, it's forever chemicals. And who knows what kinds of, I don't know, you have to look it up. See if it's cancer it causes, or which organ it damages, or, whatever. But It's found in Scotch Guard. So if your furniture is Scotch guarded and your skin is on your furniture, it absorbs through your skin. I looked it up, all the things that it's contained in. I don't think it's in all plastic. I don't know. There's other stuff in all plastic. So when you go shopping, they've made plastic bags. They've banned them in Canada now. All over Canada, Willem?
I don't know, but
I think so.
But certainly you can't buy them. You don't get them out in the stores anymore.
But you still can get those little plastic bags to put your vegetables in. And they still wrap your 4 cucumbers in plastic wrap.
Yeah, they do.
And they put all your strawberries in a little plastic container.
There's still lots of plastic going on.
So much plastic. So if you can buy things without the plastic, that's better. Like loose apples, but who wants to do that? You have to really take along paper bags or cloth bags and use them to put your vegetables in instead of putting them in those other things. Of all the plants that I didn't recognize or that I don't remember the names of, and I used iNaturalist and I looked them up, and some of them I don't think they were giving me the right answers either. There was one that they thought was false nettle, and it could have been something else. I forget what it was. I don't think I even know now what it really was. And there's this one, I took a picture of it when we were walking along around the moat the other day. It's a kind of like a spreading vine, and it has small leaves. It has white flowers which sort of cover everything there, and it turned out to be a kind of rue. There's meadow rue. It wasn't meadow rue, it was a different kind of rue. I like doing that. I like learning. I really like learning. My grandson was sitting at the table yesterday, and he's writing a Pokemon book. He's using ChatGPT to help him write this book, and he's making up the characters. And so he was asking me for a name. So IUM or something, Thuidium, was the name of a moss I was looking at. And it might have been sphagnum moss or hairy cap or something like that. Anyway, and so he didn't want that word because it was too hard to spell. So THID was the word he came up with. And I remember, and it was a fern-like moss. So I showed him the picture of the fern, and so he pictured it as a tree. And so he made this Pokemon shape as like a person shape with spikes coming out of him. It was cute, and his name is Thid. Anyway, while he was sitting there at the table studiously working on all this, he was also learning how to do colors and using numbers and letters for the colors. And so he was asking me to name some letters and numbers, some random ones, give him 6. And so I was coming up with 6. I said 1A, 2C, 3B. And he said, oh good, that was cyan. And, well, I don't really know anything about all that stuff. But Daniel does, because he did game development in university. And so he heard him, and he came over, and he was explaining that the scale goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E, F. And then the higher you go, the darker it gets. And so the first two numbers are the red hue, the second are the green, and the third are the blue. I don't know how you get yellow in there then. Anyway, but he was saying, okay, I'm gonna make aqua. And so he tried, FF or whatever. He just tried different things. And he got the idea. He knew how to do it. He said to Daniel, okay, I get it now. I can do this. And he was able to figure this out. I said, make pink. And he tried a few things, and he came out with something that was... Then he kind of gave up at the last minute on that one. But anyway, it was very interesting to watch him learn this. And I, of course, was learning it too, but not as clear as he is. He's really sharp. He and Daniel, they've got really sharp minds. They're really, really sharp. Anyway, and so's Willem. Do you understand all that stuff, Willem?
The red, green, and blue, I understand.
Like the colors with the... to code with colors?
No, I'm not sure about the code. But the way it works in biology is... you have one sensor is a little bit stimulated, other one's more, and another one more or less. And the same with all the other colors. You have different degrees of stimulation of the receptor, I think. And so that's how you get the colors that you observe. Yeah, so you can actually mimic that in a computer. So you have the light that would stimulate really mostly one receptor, and another. You can mix them and get colors, something like that.
Cool. Anyway, he was doing it with computers, which was completely new to me.
Yeah. So I think all it does is what the computers would do is you have receptor 1, receptor 2, and receptor 3. The amount of stimulation from 0 to F, I guess, and just 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the way the computer is organized. It's all the powers of 2. So A, B, C, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, and then A, B, C, D, E, F has 16 values. And so what is that? That's a hexadecimal notation.
A what?
Hexadecimal notation.
Hexadecimal?
Hexadecimal notation. So instead of you have numbers 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then you have to start with 1 and 0 over again. Yeah, and actually have some more in A, B, C, D, E, F. And so in hexadecimal, when you have 1 and a 0, actually it is 16. And F actually is 15. It's just the way a computer deals with numbers because of their...
I thought everything was zeros and ones.
Yeah, when you combine them, right? So hexadecimal is just a sequence of four switches, can be 0 or 1. And so it'd be 0, it goes from 0 to 15. And 15, give it one letter or one character, then it goes from 0 to F. But really that represents a sequence of zeros and ones. Anyway. way of representing the amount of stimulation of those receptors. Nice.
Cool, eh? It's nice to be married to somebody smart. Smarter than me on things like that. So yesterday I sat at the table with my mosses book. Now I know there are 5 kinds of mosses that are common in my area, Eastern Ontario, according to ChatGPT. So I was trying to look them up in the book, because the book, there's 10,000 types of mosses. There's also many, many types of sphagnum. So it was saying sphagnum SPP, period. And I didn't know what that meant. But I guess it means in that category or that class or something. But I've never really learned Latin. Latin is a good thing to know. I went to Mexico, we were bird watching, and they could tell you the name of the bird there, but that was in Spanish, and it didn't help me at all, knowing what bird it was. And it wasn't in my bird book of North America. Same with Europe. But if you can know the Latin name of something, it transcends all the languages. It's a different language, right? So, and when you write Latin, the first letter of the first word is capitalized, but the first letter of the second word is not. It's always 2 letters, 2 words.
What?
Well, no, it's not always 2 words. The first word is the...
I don't get that.
In Latin, when you're naming a species, like
oh, I see. Okay.
like a certain kind of moss.
Okay.
But my memory isn't that great. So I used to, there was something I did it on YouTube. I would go for a walk and I was trying to memorize the sounds with the letters. So like 1 was hat or something, was the ah sound, and 2, do you remember that, Willem?
No.
Like you tried to do that too.
There's some memory systems you can use. I sometimes use it a little bit. One good system is the most sophisticated system that they had. That was a book that I was reading. Is where you have each digit. If you want to try and remember digits and numbers, each digit is associated with a number of very closely related consonants. Okay, so in that book it says the 0 was an S or a Z. The 1 was a T or a D or TH. 2 is an N, I think, and 3 is an M. 4 is an R. 5 is an L, I think. 6 was an SH or CH. 7 a K or a hard G. And 8 was an F or a V. And 9 was a B or a P. And there's no digits associated with other consonants like H or W or something like that.
But they had
and then you can fill the blanks. The vowels are also not coded. So if you have, say, dog, would be 1 and 7, right? The D goes to 1 and 7 goes to K. So if you want to remember a difficult sentence, a long sentence, but you could fill you could get all all these consonants, because they all these digits, and pick a consonant out of the small little sets. Where you have a one. Okay, you put a T there or a D, and then you keep doing that, and then you can put your own vowels in, or H's or W's, and then you can try to make actual words for it, right? So
when I was learning it, there was a series of words. So you would learn the words, which were short words like tie and hat and ma. I don't know.
Okay, if you want to remember a certain number, short numbers, if you remember objects, let's say 10 objects. For the one we had a tie. Again, it has a T in it, which stands for one. But for two, they had Noah, and he picture a guy with a beard on an ark. And for three, you had a forget what it was. But anyway, you had. So you get these pictures for the numbers. For instance,
for the sounds.
Yeah, for 20 would be a picture of a nose with NS2 and zeros goes to S goes to 0. So you had a 20 is you can picture a nose, and then if you say item number 20 is a billboard. You can picture a billboard with a big nose on it or something like that. You know what I mean? And that's how you can associate these things. And if your third item, if your first item was a tie, and you want to associate it with a car, you have a car and you have a tie on it. You have a big tie all around it, wrapped in something like that. So that's how they do it, and you can get good at it. It takes a lot of practice, but you can actually get quite good at it.
Yeah, you were good at it. You were
for a while. Yeah, not very good. No, not very good.
In about 10 kilometers.
Expressway that avoids Montreal. Anyway, I tried to learn this, and so I was walking through the woods. I remember I was going through the hunt camp next to us, and it's a 45-minute walk, and so I spent that whole time associating or memorizing aloud the number with the picture, the short word picture.
Yeah. Eventually, when you memorize these things, you have to throw away those crutches, so you won't memorize. You have to memorize things themselves, right?
It seems to me that it's pretty hard to memorize this whole list of words. But I was determined. I had a list of them, and I had it in my pocket, and I would look at it, and I would memorize it, by rote.
They have people who perform like this, and I think on TV or radio, and they were given these things. And okay, here's a list. Have a look at them for a minute. Take the list away. Okay, so get me the items on the list, and then you go. You got them all. And if you have them with the numbers attached to them, you can even ask, what is item 7 on the list? Oh yeah, 7. Okay, 7. And the code word for 7 is cow, and there is let's say a ladder, or maybe you have a picture of a cow climbing a ladder. Oh yeah, it's a ladder. Yeah, item 7 is a ladder. Yeah.
And so, what is the word that you're then remembering?
You remember the ladder as the 7th item in the list.
Oh, I see.
The cow would be associated with 7, and the ladder you combine it in a picture with a cow. You have one picture, a cow and a ladder. Sometimes it can be ambiguous, because Now the leather is fine, but let's say if you have a tie, if the seventh item that you want to remember is a tie, a tie is the code word for number 1. So if you have the seventh number is a tie, and you have a picture of a tie and a cow, is it now at number 7? The number 7 is a tie, or is it at number 1 is a cow? We don't know. So there are some weaknesses on it, but there are probably ways around it.
I'm impressed that you still remember it after all this time. That was years ago.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know, I think if you Google it, Nancy Today memorizing.
Yeah, there's other systems. The Romans had something like it. They had people that are giving speeches, these orators, and they wanted to remember what they were going to say before they get there. So, or the points they want to address. So they picture themselves going into a building, and it's a very specific tour to a building, like their own house. Maybe they go to the front door, and then they go into the living room, they go to the kitchen, they go to the backyard, go to the garage. Well, they had different garages in Roman times, of course, but anyway, you get the idea. And so the first item that they want to address is prosperity, and then they say, okay, so in the front door, they have an item associated with prosperity. Let's say jewelry. Well, you have jewelry, and and number 2 is a crime. So in the hallway, say the hallway is the second place they go through, they have a picture associated with something relating to crime. And that's how they did it.
That was the Romans.
That's the Romans, yeah.
In 2 kilometers.
It's fascinating, really, how the memory works.
I think all that takes so much more work. I like the way, like remembering, if you want to remember a string of things, that you would then picture each one and hook it to the next one. So if you're
that's also a good one. It's also mentioned in the book.
So if you're going to do a building, or say you've got a grocery list, you're going to get carrots and eggs and apples.
Use the right lane
to take exit 32 to merge onto Auto Route 30 towards Sorrel Tracy.
I have to pay attention here. Because if we go straight, we go right into downtown Montreal.
Take the exit.
Okay, done. Now we have another thing we have to do right away. One side is going to go to Montreal, one side will go back to Toronto. So we're going to hit the 401 connection here. The 401 turns into the 20 when it's in Quebec. And here is that next one. It's good to come here frequently because I'm getting to know the way. And if you know the way, it makes it so much easier. So I go straight and they turn off to Montreal and Toronto, which doesn't really make sense. But we're going to go around the island. So the 401 goes, the 20 goes onto the island. But we're going to...
For about 53
kilometers, continue straight.
Okay, which confuses me because that way goes to Dorion, which is what we're following most of the time. I know we're following Sorrel Tracy,
Yeah.
but actually we want to go to Vaudreuil.
Well, Vaudreuil is, I think, it's basically close to this road, mostly on the west side, right? So if you in Temple, you follow this west, in the other direction you go to Vaudreuil, and then here you go for Vaudreuil as well. But somewhere in the middle is a turnoff. right?
Okay, yeah. So we're heading to Sorrel Tracy now. That's the one we followed.
Yes.
Stay in the left 2.
So the way that what I was going to say is to remember, like, carrot and eggs. I would picture a carrot piercing an egg, something ridiculous. So sticking out of an egg. And then, what was the next one? Banana. And so then, in the egg, there would be a banana. And then, what was the next one? Apple. So the banana is hanging from an apple tree with apples, surrounded by apples, hanging on an apple tree. Something like that, so that as long as you remember the first word, which is carrot, as soon as you got carrot, then you've got it.
Yes.
But you don't usually have to figure out which is the 7th item on the list.
Right.
You just have to remember everything on the list. Right?
Yeah. Well.
Okay. Can set my thing on here now. My cruise control. 120. Away we go.
I'm not sure that 120 is. It might be too fast. You might get a ticket.
Okay. What is the speed limit here?
They're pretty lax. They won't blink an eye if you do 120, but I'm not sure how it's in Quebec. But
Okay.
a lot of cars go 115, so you're probably okay.
Okay, I'm going 150. Those cars are not catching up with me. So they must be going 115 also. Okay. So trying to keep minds active. I watched, fascinated by, there's so many, I've got the transponder here now.
Is it? Okay.
Gee.
Yeah. So they are actually charging now. It used to be.
All of $4.
Yeah, so it used to be free of charge.
So much better than in Ontario where it charges $40.
Yeah, but you know what?
Which way, what?
You only, no, it depends. Because like there's many of those pay things are all around the highways around Montreal. So if you go say to Quebec City and you keep following this road, there will be more of those. But I think on the whole it's probably still cheaper than in
Yeah, we had to add $70 or so onto our trip to Toronto if we were going to use the 407. There's very few cars on it,
Well,
but
right.
it's a lot more, but no trucks. What?
No, sometimes it can be very busy there too. But still usually you go quite fast. Like it's not you seldom have the slowdowns you have on the 401, which can hold you up for quite a while.
That's why it's important to leave quite early.
Yeah.
Give yourself many hours. It's better to sit in the temple waiting room waiting than to rush the session. You just have to go to bed a little earlier. What time did you go to bed last night?
12, I think, 11:30 or 12. Oh yeah.
What time did you get home?
10-ish, 10:30-ish.
I think I went to bed quarter to 10 or something, or maybe it was after 10. I kept thinking you would be coming right along. beat the rain. I don't think they're going to get all as much rain as we were getting, according to my weather app.
Well, I think it's about to peter down now everywhere.
What?
I think they're at the end of it most everywhere.
I don't know. Forecasted heavy rain at home today. I think it's supposed to rain all day. I don't know how heavy all day. I tried to zoom the map in and out and it wasn't helping me.
Let me see what I can find in May. At 2 p.m. it's supposed to stop raining in McDonald's corners.
What is it doing in Montreal?
Let me just check there. No, you get to another. Here, Ottawa, Montreal. Okay. Montreal is supposed to be dry at 1 p.m.
Is there supposed to be rain?
It's various probability of rain, so it's 49% at 9 o'clock. Oh, now there's no rain. 9 p.m. 40%, 10 a.m. 20%, 11 a.m. 20%, noon. Oh, wait a minute, no, it's not right. 40% at 9, 40% at 10, 40% at 11, 40% at 12, and no more at 1.
But you know what that actually means? It doesn't mean that it's 40% chance that it's going to rain where you are. It's that 40% of the area will definitely get rain.
Right, yeah, and if you random pick a spot, it'll be 40% chance that it's rain there.
So it's 100% chance somewhere, only they don't know exactly where.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing.
It makes it easier for me to understand when I think of it that way.
Yeah, that's fine.
So this is our second bridge. These are long bridges. It's too bad that the walls are always so high that you can't really see over them to see the river. There it is back behind us. So what river are we crossing?
Well, I'm not sure. It's
Paget was the first one. Is this the Saint Laurent?
Or it is a sidearm of it or something like that. I mean, it's pretty complicated, I think.
Does it go? It goes up through beside Montreal. That's
Yeah,
the one that goes beside the temple. There's a port.
There is a Saint Laurent goes by or through Montreal.
The St. Lawrence River.
St. Lawrence, yeah. And so how it exactly is where it's.
And Abraham and Daniel spoke their own language. We couldn't really understand them. They spoke so quickly and with such, I don't know, but I couldn't understand them. But they understood each other. And they would play this thinking game where I do this, and then I do that, and then I do this, and then I do that. But it was quite long, and there was a lot of words involved, which I couldn't figure out what they were talking about. But it was their thinking game. His gas cap is open. I guess she'll figure it out when she stops at a gas station. I don't know how to make a symbol for that. So maybe pointing at the car or something. Writing a big sign and putting it in the back window. But how do you do that when you're driving? There should be some way to text all the people on the road. You tap on the picture of the car that you want to tell something to, and then you can write them a message. But it would probably end up with all this flaming.
Yeah, you're
Get
supposed
out of
to-
my lane.
You're not supposed to use your cell phone when you're driving a car, right, darling?
What?
You're not supposed to use your cell phone when you're driving a car.
Oh, yeah. Details.
Yeah, details.
But you could do it verbally. Like they have the big screen on in Teslas where you can, you would look at it and you could say, send a message to the blue car, 2 cars ahead of me in the second, the second lane on the left.
Can you do it with a Tesla? Interesting.
Well, no, you can't yet, but I bet they would. Or you could have writing on the back of the car that's an automatic, like a marquee that would flash or something. You could say, get off my bumper. Or it would be on the front that says, please move over. It should probably be prescribed phrases so that you can't, be verbally abusive to other drivers. Please move over, and then the one in the front could say no. Or would respond, stop tailgating. One in the back, what would the one in the back have a prescribed thing to say in response? To stop tailgating. Or your lights are too bright. All these people that have what seems like bright lights on are often just pickup trucks. Those lights go right in your eyes as if they were oops, now everybody moved to this lane. So we're going to have snail races. You don't usually have them in Quebec. That's an Ontario thing. You think, Willem?
Yeah, maybe.
When I bought that book on mosses, I was so thrilled to find a book that identified all the mosses in North America. But then it's too much. And how do you go through a book like that to find the moss that you have? iNaturalist is much better. Take a picture of the moss, put it in there, and it should identify exactly your variety with the Latin. Truck is ever going to go past that. Have a snail race, and now everybody speeds up. You go downhill, and then you go uphill, and everybody slows down. Oh, I'm so glad it's not raining. Remember that time we drove through Watertown and it was a blizzard? Or maybe you weren't with me. I was probably going to Georgia. And oh my gosh, the road, you couldn't see the road, you couldn't see the cars. It's on I-81, the very top of I-81 before you go into Canada. Now he wants to come in again. But then I'll get stuck behind him for another 10 minutes.
No, it's not the same truck.
It was. It was the one that was blocking me before. Now he's in. He's behind me. That's okay. I am free. I think that that was bad. Now he's back in the other side. See, it's 8:30, so we have, I guess this is the rush hour on here. Although it's not too bad. Boulevard René Levesque. Levesque? Châteauguay, Centerville, Mercier. I like having the GPS tell me what to do. At all, Willem?
No.
Brightly will you sing with me if I tell you the words? Brightly beams our Father's mercy from...
Yeah, I'm up to it, sorry.
Brightly beams our Father's mercy from his lighthouse evermore. But to us he gives the keeping lights along the shore. Let the lower lights be burning. Send a beam across the wave. Some poor struggling, some poor weary struggling seaman, you may rescue, you may save. The night of sin has settled, loud the angry tempest roar. Eager eyes are watching, longing for the lights along the shore. Let the lower lights be burning, send a beam across the wave. Some poor fainting, struggling seaman, you may rescue, you may save. And I did memorize the third verse, but I can't remember it. Five people watching, but only 2 thumbs ups. Let's try for 1,000 thumbs ups, shall we? I mean, reach for the sky, aim for the stars, and you might reach the light post over the road. More deer jumping signs. They never have bear crossing signs, do they? Oh yeah, we've got one. We got it from a provincial park once. And raccoon crossing, I've got one of those on the deck. There haven't been so many raccoons. Hey, I tied up the grapevines. The raccoons ate all the grapes last year. But I tied them up and I cut off everything past the little grape bundles that were on there. What is a grape bundle called, Willem?
What was it called again? Truss?
What?
No, that's something different. I think it is a bunch, I think.
Okay, a bunch. A cluster.
Cluster, yeah, that sounds good too.
I don't know, a bunch. Anyway, so I cut off the vines that were growing wildly after the last bunch of grapes. And now it's all bunches of grapes and they're growing. They were like a 1/4 inch across. Well, now they're like 3/8. Not quite a half. But they're getting bigger. small marbles. So who knows? I thought that they're pretty separated. They're pretty far apart. But by the time they reach their full size, they'll be all pushing into each other. It's kind of exciting. I looked up grapevines last year, and and it said something about the primary and the secondary branches can stay, but you cut off all the tertiary branches. And then I had some grape bunches after that. So this year I had so much growth on the grapes, I cut everything back to the primary vines. And now I've got tons of grapes, which is fun. I've never taken care of them properly. I tried to get them to grow up a trellis and I always wanted an arbor.
In about 10 kilometers.
Take exit 55 to merge onto Autoroute 15 toward Montreal.
And that's on the right, in 9.7 kilometers. So nice it's not raining. It's raining a little bit. I mean, I have to, or maybe it's the roads aren't dry, so it does have two dry strips in this lane. Sorel, Tracy, and Quebec. It's funny, being in Quebec, the signs are to Quebec, which means to Quebec City. In Mexico, Mexico City is called Mexico. So you have Mexico, Mexico. And the road signs are turnoffs to Mexico while you're in Mexico. What is the letters that are after it? It's not DC. Mexico has two...
DF, I think, Distrito Federal.
DL?
DF?
DF, yes.
Yeah, Distrito Federal, I think.
What would that stand for?
Distrito Federal.
Oh, Federal District. Okay. Cement lines. I was thinking cement lines might make the road safer if you have balding tires. They're joining the Bald Eagle Club. I think retreads would be a really much better way to do tires. Instead of having to rebuy all of that rubber, which had to be harvested one tree at a time, the rainforest or something. What are you looking for?
My tie.
I think we're going to have plenty of time.
Oh, okay.
It's only 8:45.
You got the estimated arrival time on the...
No.
No. Okay.
I think we'll get there at 9:30.
There should be plenty of time.
Now the road looks wet, just in color. Or maybe it's just that it's pavement.
It's a little bit, but you can see a little bit shades of
Silvery.
Color. Yeah, shades of the light and dark. Lighter and darker.
If the road is rained on and everybody's got their red lights on in the back, you see all these reflections of the lights. And if you focus on them, you can use that. If you focus on the reflections, instead of them being a nuisance and you can't see where you're going, if you focus on them, they tell you where to go. They're lines that are along the lane. Look, Montreal and New York, 132 and 15. That's going to be our turnoff. This is where I always think about the fact that my U.S. passport has expired. But I also think about all the weapons that are on the other side of the border, all the people that have guns and it's being legal to carry concealed weapons. And now I saw something about ammunition being sold in vending machines. What do you need ammunition for? Who are you going to shoot?
In 2 kilometers.
Take exit 55 to merge onto Autoroute 15 toward Montreal.
If you think you need a gun for protection, all you're going to need is one bullet in your gun. You're not going to need to buy ammunition from a vending machine. Unbelievable. I'm so grateful for Canada. You cannot bring guns into Canada. You are sent back with your gun or it's seized at the border. And if you've committed a felony, you're not allowed to come into Canada. So I wonder what will happen if Trump becomes president. There are countries that won't let him in if he's a felon. He can't.
Use the right lane.
To take exit 55 to merge onto Autoroute 15 toward Montreal.
It's amazing how he turns everything around. He makes it all completely the opposite. I didn't do anything wrong. They're doing all this. Well, he did. His signature is on all these things. And anyway.
You want to squirt the windows in?
Take the exit.
Then keep left to merge onto Autoroute 15 North toward Montreal.
Use the left lane.
To keep left to merge onto Autoroute 15 North toward Montreal.
Okay, and the other way goes down to I-81 to New York, I-87 to New York City. I love listening to the news from New York City.
In 2.3
Kilometers. Keep left toward Delson and St. Constant.
Delson and St. Constant. Does it always tell us those? They sound new.
No, they don't recognize this instruction.
Look, there's a little lake there in the middle of the clover leaf. I remember my dad teaching me about clover leaves on interstates. Interstates, I don't know what year they started, 1965 or something? But when we went to California from Georgia, we took interstates all the way. My dad taught me how to drive with my knee, so you could use your hands if you needed to. I suppose that's not allowed. He let me sit on his lap and drive, I think. Or no, I was sat in my chair in the front because I was the navigator. I had to follow the map, which was in my lap. We had these big map books from Mobile.
Use the left lane.
To keep left toward Delson and St. Constant.
Okay. Delson and St. Constant. We're still on 30 East.
No, that's the turn off.
Oh, it's
Here.
turning off now. Okay,
Yeah,
this is where we separate.
The 15, I think. So you can get back on the 30.
15.
Keep left.
Then keep left to merge onto Autoroute 15 North.
Montreal and La Prairie. Doesn't say
Use the
anything
left lane
about
to keep left to merge onto Autoroute 15 North toward Route 132 Est.
Okay, done.
For about 21.
1 kilometers. Continue straight.
Okay then. Thank you very much. You know, the other night when we came home from the temple, I don't think yes, you were with me. You came to Bonnie and Don's ceiling?
Yes. No, I didn't.
No, okay.
I was
Well, there were
attending the baby, attending Maya or this one.
Okay, so there were 3 vehicles that we had.
Mhm.
And we all arrived home at different times. I came our way. Actually, I came the 401. Then I came up. But the other cars, one of them got home at 45 minutes after we did. routes are not created equally, and not all GPSs tell you the same way to go. Are my sunglasses in the glove compartment? Okay, let's see if that works. It's already kind of bright, I don't know. If you can find the other ones, that would be better. I might have worn them into the house.
Yeah, I can find it.
There we go, my purple shades. The clouds are very white, and everything is very white. Oh, now we're beside the river.
Yeah, this is probably the Saint Laurent.
I sat by the Saint Laurent in Brockville the other day and played my violin, and there were ocean liners coming by. They call them lakers when they're on the lake or up here, the river. But we saw it and watched them in Holland. I probably videoed them. You probably remember that if you watch those. Maas, M-A-A-S River. Look, Brossard, which is where we get our yarn from when we buy yarn for the loom. Which reminds me every time I see that sign about measuring my warp. So I had measured part of it last year. It was something like white, blue, lots of white, blue, lots of white. So I had to do the same one. I wrote it all down, thank goodness, how many strands, how many wraps of each. And so I did the same thing again, which I will turn the opposite direction and put on the warp. So I've got one side and the other side in the center. I think I had a few purple, and then I'll have the center white. These are tea towels I'm making. Or I could do something else in the middle. I could put some, but I'm gonna make a nice design. I think I want to tax myself. So I want to make where the pattern is followed by the tabby. The tabby is just the straight 1, 2, 1, 2. And the pattern will be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 4, 2, 2, 4, 1, 3, you know, just, and what's the name of that? It starts with a P, doesn't it? It's not Priscilla. Anyway, it's a difficult pattern, and I think the last time I did that, as I was putting it on, my teacher told me I had to keep unwind. I know you made a mistake. You have to unwind, and so I'd have to go back all these and come forward and make more mistakes. Then I go back, and it took forever. But after a while, I got it. Okay, Pont Champlain, Montreal, Sherbrooke, Quebec. Is that us? She didn't say anything.
Keep
Longueuil.
going. Keep going.
Longueuil. Okay, so they go that way. Thank you for coming to Sherbrooke and getting me with my broken foot from Maine.
Oh yeah.
Oh. this guy coming, zooming up behind me and had to zoom back out. Oh, now the other guy goes in front of it. Oh, they're people in Quebec have a different way. They change lanes immediately. Boy, they've got rush
In
hour.
about 10 kilometers.
Take exit 85 onto Boulevard Roland-Terrien.
Wow, how many kilometers? 10.
10. Yeah.
And it's 9 o'clock, so we'll be there in good time. We'll be there by 9:30.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. All that rain and driving so slowly. And I figured, well, you never know. I guess that whole line of going slow was people getting ready to merge onto here. And we're still beside the water. And on the other side of the water is all the Expo buildings. Expo 67. The World's Fair. I wonder, I'd like to see if there's, I'd like to learn more about what's in Montreal from that time. Those were big deals. They had the New York World's Fair. I don't know when that was, but we went to it, I would think. It was probably in 1960. Maybe 65, I don't know, but neighbors across the road went to it also. Not many people went. I wonder if it was a keep up with the neighbors kind of a thing. Who knows? Everybody's having a lovely day. I hope your internet works and you can listen to the promptings of the Spirit today and have a good day. Avoid danger and difficulty. Stay safe. Be a good driver. All these cars, I think that's the entrance to the on-ramp. And I think on the other side, when we passed all those cars that were standing still, I think that was an on-ramp too. In Atlanta, there's an on-ramp that has a stoplight, and it'll only let a few cars on at a time. That ball. What's the name of that ball? Do you know?
No.
It was one of the structures for the world, which I mention every time we come by because, you know, I have to talk about it. Blessed be the name of our God. Let us sing to his praise. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for bringing me safely through all that. Hoping you do a good job driving so Willem can sleep. So pray in Jesus Christ's name. Amen. 9:02. Shall we listen to the news?
Aujourd'hui, des découvertes surprenantes qui donnent la sensation de voyager ailleurs.
In 2 kilometers.
Take exit 85 onto Boulevard Roland-Terrien.
Nouvelle FM 103.3.
Les manchettes avec notre ami Henri-Paul Raymond, il est 9h précise. En ce 9h01, ça vient de changer, tiens donc, en ce jeudi, si vous regardez votre montre, je vois à l'heure, donc 9h01. En ce jeudi 11 juillet 2024, Henri-Paul toujours là. Oui, prêt à nous livrer les nouvelles ici. Exactement. On va aller faire un tour au Comic Fest. Ça semble fort invitant cette affaire-là.
Ça semble intéressant, surtout qu'il y a de très bons humoristes.
Tout à fait, des jeunes émergents également, puis des podcasts, c'est la nouveauté, là, évidemment. Une étude sur le climat de travail toxique à Saint-Lambert.
Exactement. La Ville de Saint-Lambert a décidé, Charles, donc du Conseil de Ville de juillet, d'effectuer une étude sur le climat de travail toxique. Il y a certains membres du Conseil qui trouveraient l'atmosphère particulièrement lourde. À ce sujet, voici un reportage de notre stagiaire Audrey-Anne Gariepi.
Plusieurs membres du Conseil ont été témoins et informés par des employés municipaux de la ville de Saint-Lambert de situations récurrentes de harcèlement psychologique de la part d'élus, causant un désengagement et un stress supplémentaire à l'accomplissement de leur travail. Selon Liette Michaud, conseillère du district 6, il serait important de rédiger une politique de civilité interne pour les élus. La mairesse se positionne du même avis que Mme Michaud.
Use the right lane.
Que cette
résolution se fait adopter. Pascal Mongrain nous explique pourquoi elle est de cet avis.
Le code qui est proposé a été élaboré par le Service des ressources humaines de la Ville et c'est tout à fait louable si le Service des ressources humaines de la Ville sent le besoin ou l'intérêt pour développer un code de civilité pour les employés entre eux. Le problème, c'est que juridiquement, nous les élus, on est déjà soumis au Québec à un ensemble de réglementations et de législation.
Francis Le Châtelier, conseiller dans le district 1, est en faveur afin d'être
Take the exit.
contre la proposition de retrait. Le vote s'est terminé 4 contre versus 2 en faveur. Le conseil demande à la direction régionale de la Montérégie du ministre des Affaires municipales et de l'Habitation un accompagnement auprès des élus. Le sujet sera donc réabordé à la séance du 19 août.
Merci infiniment, Audrey-Anne. Voilà, rappelle-moi son nom de famille.
Gariepi.
Gariepi, Audrey-Anne Gariepi. Merci infiniment. Des entraves à venir maintenant sur les rues Gabriel-Leroy et Émile Néligan.
On veut le rappeler, Charles, parce que la Ville de Varennes annonce qu'elle va procéder ce mois-ci
At the next light.
également à des travaux divers, dont la réfection du pavage et la reconstruction de certaines bordures de rue Gabriel-Leroy et Émile Néligan. Ces travaux vont débuter ce mois-ci et se terminer au mois d'août et engendrer des entraves sur les rues concernées, seules la
At the light.
Turn right onto Rue du Parc Industriel.
Se détaille comme suit: enlèvement du pavage existante et de la bordure de béton du côté du parc du Carrousel et construction de trottoirs à cet endroit. La réfection de certaines sections de bordure du côté des résidences, cette fois-ci, est également prévue.
At the stop sign.
Turn right onto Rue du Parc Industriel.
L'aménagement d'une intersection surélevée au coin des rues Gabriel-Leroy et Marc-Aurèle-Fortin également. La municipalité prévoit effectuer dans les prochains temps la reconstruction du stationnement des boîtes postales en plus de veiller à l'amélioration du drainage derrière celle-ci et un corridor scolaire du côté impair entre les rues Gabriel-Leroy et Perrault.
At the light.
Turn right onto Rue Saint-Charles-Est.
Maintenant, le pavage de la rue Émile-Néligan va être remis à neuf durant la période chaude de l'année, alors que les employés de la ville vont exécuter la réfection de certaines sections de bordure
See, they
de
are
cette
waiting
même
for
rue
the red
et la
light.
pose de
They
deux
look
nouvelles
very-
couches
This
de
is
pavage
Arizona.
est prévue
And that one is
nécessaire
also,
pour tous les
well,
travaux
that
de
one's
ce type.
Quebec.
parle maintenant de la GRC qui
The other one was
rencontre des
Montreal
citoyens
guy,
sur
so
des
he knew
allégations
it was a
d'espionnage
right
chinois
on
du côté
red.
de Brossard.
Selon ce que nous apprend la presse, oui, des agents, et le SPAD également en a parlé.
In about 1.5
kilometers. Turn right into the parking lot.
À Montréal et à Brossard pour rencontrer des Québécois d'origine chinoise. Certains de ces citoyens rencontrés affirment avoir été victimes de harcèlement.
stay in the left 2
Le sergent Charles Poirier de la GRC a indiqué que plus d'une demi-douzaine de personnes au Québec qui avaient signalé de tels
Okay,
incidents ces derniers
that's enough. She's from Arizona, and it says, I love to quilt. I bet they're LDS. I bet they're going to the temple.
It'll be so, yeah.
I mean, why would an Arizona car be blocked from the temple? And somebody says, I love to quilt. I mean, that's definitely, sounds like a Relief Society sister. Maybe they're missionaries that work at the temple. And it's 9:07. So the mission, the prayer meeting probably starts at 9:30.
Yeah.
So when you're in Quebec, in most parts in Quebec, you're not allowed to turn right on red. But on the island of Montreal, you can. But
Right.
we're not on the island. We're on the other side of the island,
Yes. That's
just
correct.
across the river. So, but that guy turned right on red. And last time I was waiting there, somebody beeped behind me, so I would turn. This road is
in 1 kilometer.
Turn right into the parking lot.
Willem, we've done it.
Yeah. Thank you, Heavenly
With a
Father.
lot of help from the Lord. That was tough work. Here's this elephant. What is that made out of? Is it metal? Little
What are you
pieces.
talking about, that
This
elephant?
elephant.
I think
Looks
it's
like
cement, I think. It's cool.
Looks like fossils. Oh, look at the daylilies. Aren't they beautiful? You can pick your daylilies every day. Bring them in the house. Okay then. The bus turned off. So there's Radio Canada, which is the Quebec CBC radio station.
Mm-hmm.
Was that Radio Canada, you think?
Go past this light.
Then turn right into the parking lot.
I was listening to it. I could understand a few words. The words that were similar to English, I could understand. Like, I think he said construction, maintenant. Doesn't that mean right now? Maintenant?
Maintenant means now, yeah.
Yeah, and I got
Or
region, and I got Quebec.
mm-hmm.
Did you get any other things? What was it about?
It was mostly a traffic report. Most of the time it was a
Oh,
traffic.
really? Interesting.
But I couldn't follow the details.
Look,
Turn right.
that's right. Nobody but a Relief Society person wants to quilt from Arizona. They certainly are beating the heat.
You've entered the parking.
Lot for your destination.
Haha, there's Moroni with his horn. His trumpet.
Arrived.
Do I have my handicap sticker in here?
I think it's here somewhere. If you can see it. But there it is now. Maybe it's here. No.
Oh, maybe in the side pocket?
Wait.
There it is. Okay. You did it. Haha, here we are. Want to see where we are? We're here at the temple. Montreal. Let's see if I can turn it around. There it is. The house of the Lord. Well, thank you for coming with us. That was really nice. We were not as bored as we could have been. Bye-bye. Keep safe.